4th and 2, empty gun.
That the receiver did not maintain.
Oh, my goodness. Crosby for the game.
I think, the fans and media is going to get off on the pre-draft, the hype, and all that, but once the game, ain't no one talking about the trade. We talking about winning a football game. It's funny because, I spent all training camp helping these guys and guiding, teaching them how to block me and just things like that. So it's just going to be a fun matchup. I know he's not going to text me this week, but he might hit me up after the game, and that's just to me, he's like a little brother to me, and he know that, and there's not anything I won't help him on. So just going to compete against him live, I think he's going to, he's just as anticipated as me.
He helped me a lot, bro. He really did help me a lot because he's a great young pass rusher, and just like DeMarcus Ware and Tyron, that whole situation, I kind of looked up to him for guidance. And he showed me a lot, and we battled a little bit, and we got better from it. At the end of the day, it's a good team, and he's a good player, and we're gonna play our game. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna, do our best to mitigate, anything that's going on.
All the reps of practice going against Micah, in times when he couldn't hit me, whether him getting back there, just the trash talk back and forth, me telling him, he wouldn't tackle me anyways. You still can't bring me down. You got to get to that point. So. Just getting to go out there and compete with a guy that's a good friend that that I've competed with in numbers of ways throughout this building, outside of this building. Just excited to go and have that matchup. But he's got 5 guys up front plus tight ends and running backs that he's got to get through. So then we'll worry about if he can get to me.
Dak Prescott talking on that relationship. He said it's going to be interesting to see him on the opposite side and not have a red jersey to protect him like he had in practice through all these years. Now, they are also dealing without some of their starting offensive linemen in this battle as well, and without wide receiver 1 in CeeDee Lamb. Tyler Booker joining CD on the sideline for the next few weeks with a high ankle sprain. Both guys suffering it in week 3 against the Chicago Bears. Both are impact injuries. But Barry, I'll start with you. What impact the Cowboys are going to feel the most out of these two guys?
Look, the injury to Booker, that hurt. That hurt. This was an ascending player. But the injury to CeeDee Lamb, that's catastrophic when you look at it. I mean, this was your offense. No matter what the case, double team, triple team, Dak Prescott at the quarterback, whoever's at the quarterback, this guy was going to eat. This guy was going to be productive out there. And not only that, he opened up so many things for everyone else. Everyone else got the one-on-one opportunities. George Pickens, Ferguson, Tolbert, Turpin, those guys all ate off the one-on-one opportunities that CeeDee Lamb was able to go out there and provide for them. For him not being out there, it makes everything else a little bit more cloudy for this offense. So to me, CeeDee Lamb injury, that's catastrophic.
Yeah, I second exactly what Barry just said. Obviously, you're missing your starting center. You're missing your starting right guard. You're down to your second center and your third right guard now because Hoffman comes over from the right guard position. That's bad in itself, but I still have trust in those guys. And those T.J. Bass and Hoffman have experience. Where you don't have a ton of experience and a ton of confidence right now is at the receiver position. Obviously, you bring in George Pickens to be your, most people say 1B. In my eyes, I'm going to say your 2 because CD is your true number 1 receiver. When his presence is not on the field, it affects not only the passing game, but it's also going to have an impact on the one aspect of your team that's been successful, and that is the running game.
We all love CD, but I'm going to be honest with y'all. The number 1 man is in the backfield back there, and his name is Dakota Rain. If we can't block up front, if we can't get these mini games and stunts that they run, and Quay Walker as a part of that number 7, the linebacker, they'll come with a 5-man, they'll come with a 6-man. They like the 4 if they get a lead, but everything, you got to be weary. I think the offensive line is the most important key.
Let's talk about that a little bit. Tell me what the key is for the tackles today. Guyton and Steele, they've seen Micah Parsons previously, but it's a little bit different now that he's on an opposing roster.
What you got to do here, you got to give him one way to go. You cannot give him a 2-way go. That means you won't even get out of your stance. You got to be, and I hate to say this, a little bit hesitant to jump out there. You got to be real smooth. You got to be bending at the knees. You got to be bending at the waist, and you got to be able to ready to run him around the horn and trust that the middle is going to be stable enough to keep where Dak can step up and move around.
I'm not going to disagree with the all-time Pro Bowler over here, but what I am going to say is I think it's going to be less responsibilities on the tackles and more responsibility on Hoffman and T.J. Bass right there in the interior offensive line. Reason being exactly what you were talking about a while ago. When those guys start running those stunts, Micah Parsons is going to be over the interior of your offensive line. No different than what you saw and what you loved about him in a Dan Quinn defense when he was able to start running point guard over the opposing centers. That's where you can plan to see him at because he's facing your number 2 and your number 3 at those positions.
Yeah, when it comes to these tackles out here, everything goes through Nate Newton with that regard. You got to get depth, you got to get hand placement, all that good stuff. Only thing I'm going to say is when it comes to these tackles, if Parsons, Rashawn Gary, those guys, they start to get to beating you like a drum, don't be afraid to go out there and grab them and hold them. All right? Do not let them tee off on your quarterback, Dak Prescott, out there. Don't be afraid to grab them and hold them, all right?
Little key to all of this is called 12 personnel. You've got to run 60% 2 tight ends when you're in a passing situation. I just believe that.
And just like we said at the start of the show, it's not just Micah Parsons that's in that cabbage green on the other side that you have to worry about. It's a number of different players on that defense. Coach Schottenheimer talked about the impressiveness of Parsons, but also the challenge on that Green Bay defensive side.
Knowing Micah keeps you up even more at night, because I've seen him do things that I haven't seen him do yet in Green Bay. It means it's in there. I know he has it. I know he has those tools. But like I said, man, I can't wait to see Micah. I really can't. I really, he's been a huge part of this organization, and just be great to see him. Mike is a great player. Mike is going to make plays. I just put that out there. Like, Mike is going to make plays. Does he get a sack? I hope not, but he might. He's pretty good. But I think our guys are going knowing we've got a good plan. It takes more than one guy to block Micah. But let's not forget, Rashawn Gary's a hell of a rusher, too. I mean, this is a defense that's got incredible speed with Cooper and Walker and Micah and Rashawn. And, I mean, they're deep and they're fast. And so our ability to have success against the Packers' defense will be about a whole lot more than just Micah, because Micah's a great player, but just adding Micah to the mix doesn't negate the fact that they've had really good players there before Micah got there.
Of course, a lot of things adding up for Coach Schottenheimer in his first season as head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. But this Week 4 matchup, the energy is heightened in the building because of the task at hand. And we get an opportunity to catch up with DallasCowboys.com's very own Nick Eatman here on the sideline. We have you every week from the sideline. Now we get to join you for the first time here in 2025, but a charged-up atmosphere, not necessarily charged-up storylines going into the week. What do you feel like is the biggest impact that the Cowboys are missing tonight?
What they're missing?
What are they missing?
Like, who are they missing?
Yeah, that's ultimately what's the case.
I'm looking for him. I don't know if he was coming over here. I looked at the table. He wasn't laying over there either.
No.
But I don't know where he is right now.
Wow.
Sorry.
And you're talking about 11, not 88, right?
One.
He's the one. Now he's one.
He's the one, yeah. No, I mean, it's funny because every time that, when I talk to you guys, it's always like, what's the energy? What's the energy? You guys know it now.
Yeah.
You can hear it, and that's always the case early in the game, like before, like an hour and a half or so, because you're going to get the visiting team fans come in first. We see that when the Cowboys are on the road. So that's the biggest key right there is just doing things where these Cowboy fans have something to cheer about. That's the biggest thing. Blocking their guys up front, not just Micah, but Gary on the other side. It's funny how that works when one guy is really good on the other side, and then Larry Brown did that. He had like 9 interceptions one year. I think Dion showed up. It's funny how that happens. But that's happening with the Packers. They got to get them blocked up front. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, Nick, so we all understand the eye in the sky, it doesn't lie.
Right,
and what we've seen these past couple games from the Dallas Cowboys is their pass rush has been non-existent. And it exposed a lot of weaknesses within this defense. Now, to get some help with Jadeveon Clowney coming in here, but what I want to ask you is what type of impact do you see Clowney having in this game against Green Bay?
Well, first and foremost, he's got to stop the run, too. And that's one of the reasons why he's there, because he can kind of do a little bit of both. So you got to make sure the edge is there, stop the run, put him in third and long situations, and then that's where Eberflus, we've been talking about it forever. You can always dial up blitz.
Yeah.
Get the phone out. Like, what is it? 1-800 blitz, please. I know that's even too much, but get something.
Yeah, no doubt.
Get the rush there. They're missing it. I don't know what you guys think. You especially when it comes to secondary and pass rush, but for me, the pass rush leads to the great
Without a
second. You
doubt.
just can't cover all day
No,
long,
can't
and
do
so
it.
that's where I think is what they're missing the most.
Well, you mentioned you want to call 1-800-BLITZ, and if you want to call 1-800-BLITZ, it's going to require a little bit more communication, and that's what's been struggling defensively, especially for the Dallas Cowboys. What expectation should we have in terms of changes that these coaches are going to make with the defense in particular?
Well, and I'm not big on the analytics and Pro Football Focus and all that, but I have heard or seen that 87% for the zone coverage. That's where I think that you'd have to mix that up, and not just because of what we've seen 3 games, but if memory serves, back at the playoff game against the Packers a couple years ago when Gilmore was hurt and they switched up the defense and they said, all right, we're going to play a lot more zone than we have all year to protect him. That didn't go well for the Cowboys, obviously, and Jordan Love looked like Peyton Manning that day, and so I think that's what he does the best. So I think for them, the zone isn't working this year. It didn't work 2 years ago against the Packers. They're going to have to mix it up a little bit with some man and just things he's not used to seeing.
Yep.
Flipping to the offensive side of the ball, who is under the most pressure now without CeeDee Lamb in the fold? Because without him out there, somebody else is going to have to step up.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Pickens, Pickens being the guy, but not just Pickens, but then Tolbert, Cavante, those guys as well. I mean, Ferguson too. Like, I love the catches last week. Can we get some yards? Can we get some first downs?
Yeah, more catches and yards.
Yeah, up the field a little bit. That 6.6 average is not cutting it. So the thing about it is why would you, if you're any defense, why would you have to just, I'd have everybody back, keep everything in front, because these guys haven't shown the ability to make a play, make a guy miss.
Yeah.
Javonte Williams does as the runner, but these receivers have to make guys miss. And if you're going to play off like that, fine, I'll catch it underneath, but I'm still going to get the first down. That's what we haven't seen.
And that's hoping what the Cowboys are going to see whenever it comes to using their tight ends. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a bit. Nick Eatman joining us here from DallasCowboys.com. Keep up to date with all of his stuff on the Cowboys Now app and the Cowboys website as well. Nick, thanks so much for taking some time. We'll see you again next week from the sidelines.
I'm going to go get Steven.
Yeah, go get it. That'd be great. Get it all taken care of. Cowboys fans filing in here at AT&T Stadium. This is one of the favorite Cowboys fans out there, Mike Tagg, who always has some energy whenever it comes to cheering on the boys week in and week out. Nick Eatman just mentioned Jake Ferguson and his impact. Here is a look at the route chart, and as you can see all the way through, not a ton of work beyond 5 yards down the field. Almost every single one of his 13 receptions on 14 targets last week came within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. With all of that being said, how do you see Ferguson's role changing now that George Pickens is the top wide receiver, but also without CeeDee Lamb in the fold, Isaiah?
I honestly don't see it changing this week, and that's primarily because of what Green Bay does defensively. They play a lot of zone coverage as well, but their zone is a lot more aggressive out on the edges with the cornerbacks, and their linebackers do a good job of sinking, right? When I say sinking, they drop to about 10 or 12 when typically the linebacker range is about 5 to 7. So what they're trying to do is keep everything in front of them, bend but don't break. So I anticipate you seeing a lot more of what you saw last week in terms of productivity from Jake Ferguson.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, you're going to see the same thing from Jake Ferguson. To me, he has to just continue to be that security blanket for Dak Prescott. When things are starting to break down, when things are a little murky in the deep end and everybody's getting taken away, you got to be able to find Ferguson over there. You got to be able to dump the ball off to him. Now, I would love to see more yards after the catch.
Yeah.
Make a couple guys miss here and there, but continue that role. Be that, third down and 5, third down and 6, move the chains type of guy right there. But overall, I feel like you'll see the same thing. He'll be that security blanket for Prescott.
The simplest way to fix that is other guys got to get open.
Yep.
Down the field and in mid-range so things can open up. When all you got to do is just sit back off the ball and play the cover 2 that we don't seem to be able to perfect. That's the problem. If we can get Turpin going, if we can get Tolbert going, if we can get Pickens going down that sideline and making big plays, things will open up. Last week, things closed in on Dak, and he just threw the ball.
I would love to see that, Nate, and I hope that we can see that. But the problem is, and this is what Green Bay wants you to fall into, it's kind of like the little mousetrap, right, with the cheese. All right, they want you to go ahead and try to push the ball down the field. But in order to push the ball down the field, you know that you have to protect. And the longer that you wait for your guys to get behind their second-level defenders and their third-level defenders, by the time your guys get open, most likely their front seven has gotten home.
Is that will you see his role change in that regard where he's more of a chipper as before he gets out into the route? So he kind of be like blocking Rashawn Gary, blocking Parsons to slow them down?
You guys were just talking about 12 personnel.
Yeah,
that could be a way to utilize that 12 personnel and get him outside.
I'd much rather him get the free release, and I'd rather see Brevin Spann-Ford be the guy that can use his 6'7", 270-pound frame to not only just get his hands on these guys, but also to hold them at bay. Yeah.
And that's another thing, another wrinkle that can be added into this offense for offensive coordinator Clayton Adams. Here's what he said early in the week about Ferg's usage and trying to get Jake Ferguson a little bit more of a usage down the field.
Some of that is just kind of the way that some of the games have gone where, he's, the defense is punching out and whatever he's been assigned to do on that play, he's kind of the check down option, almost like a running back would be. There's always, depending on the coverages that you're seeing, there's ways to get him, higher in the rank of where the progression is starting. He just hasn't gotten as many of those balls. And I think that probably when you're catching more of them as a tight end, usually they're underneath things.
On the opposite side for George Pickens, it is not within 5 yards down the field like Jake Ferguson. Pickens much more used down the field. And even though this has been his role early, Coach Schottenheimer said in his early week press conference, he doesn't anticipate a big change for Pickens. But with more of a target share, Isaiah, do you think they utilize him from 10 yards in?
I think that Pickens he's still your deep down the field deep threat. I think the way in which they utilize CeeDee Lamb in terms of short motion, going the over routes across the field, things of that nature, I still believe that that's the way in which you're going to use George Pickens. But George Pickens is only going to get open if he approaches this game with intensity. These guys are very physical in the secondary. If you get 5 yards down the field, you're going to have multiple people putting their hands on you as you cross their coverage. So he's going to have to turn up the physicality and the intensity if he wants to get open and have some space.
Cowboys making the move to acquire Pickens this past summer. He has stepped up in a big way already. 9 receptions in each of the last 2 games. When he's targeted more than 10 times in his career, he's actually top 6 in the NFL behind some of the NFL's premier receivers. And one of the guys that helped make that move is Cowboys COO Stephen Jones, who joins us now here on Cowboys Pregame Live. And Stephen, great atmosphere tonight. Since we're talking about Pickens, you feel like he'll be extra charged up and primed for a big-time matchup in prime time?
No question. We were actually talking in the meetings there Monday after the game. I think it was a little shock to him when CD went down because they've got to be very close. And I think we'll even see a better version of Pickens after he's had a full week of being the guy and, accepting that CD's not going to be out here at least for this game. And so I expect big things out of Pickens and the rest of the offense. I think they had a great week of practice, Dak. I mean, we know the only thing we can't do is we got to protect the football. You can't go out there and turn the ball over 4 times and expect to win football games. But I have a great feeling about that. I mean, Dak's one of the best in the business at protecting the ball, and I know the rest of the crew will step right in as well.
Steve, I know that you and the rest of the executive crew, you guys are responsible for adding depth. You guys have done a great job of doing so. But I know you guys didn't expect to go into your depth so far already at the offensive line position. Where's your confidence level at right now with the guys that are going to be filling in for some of those roles?
Well, really good. I think TJ Bass is going to step up and do a great job. We've really gotten comfortable with him over the years. I think he can step right in at that guard position and do a really nice job. And then, of course, Hoffman's been doing a good job at the center spot. And I think Guyton had his best week of practice. I think he knows he's going to have a challenge out here today that's motivational on both sides. And but he absolutely had his best week of practice this year. And he played really good the other day. I think he'll step it up, and as will Steele. So I like our group and should just keep getting better.
Well, Stephen, you get one of the best ball-hawking corners in the National Football League back tonight in Daron Bland. How big of an impact do you see him having against Green Bay tonight?
Anytime you can have these guys that you want to invest the type of money we've invested in, whether it be Bland or Diggs, and the years that they've had in the past, as you said, getting the ball.
Yes.
And that's what we got to be better. Like you said, we got to protect it on offense, and we got to get it on defense. And we haven't been doing that this year. We got to eliminate the big plays, which I think Bland can play a big hand in as well in terms of his coverage back there. But it'll be great to have him back. And we got a good group there between Kyer and Diggs and Bland. I like that group, and Reddy's really stepped up and done a nice job at that nickel spot.
besides me and you shopping at the same store.
Yes, we do.
Javonte Williams, has he been a shock to you the way he's been carrying the ball and being the runner that he's been?
Well, hats off to Will and our pro scouts for, uncovering him and really setting us all down to watch tape on him. He had a great rookie year, and then he, had the injury. And sometimes, it takes players a little bit to get their mojo back. But, he's a guy that we had high expectations for. I know a lot of people were concerned we weren't focused on it, but this guy's a guy we had at the top of the second round. And, he's coming into his own and really playing at a high level. We got behind there in the second half, or I think he'd have had a huge game the other day. It was just unfortunate on that fumble. That was a freak deal. Have all the confidence in the world in him, and we need to get him rolling tonight. We need to control the ball, run the ball, and he's a big part of that.
Now, you've already gone down 2 starting offensive linemen. How far down the call list is Nate Newton to finally get back on the field and try and win some Super Bowls?
I think I could count on Nate for a series.
Yes, sir. It's going to cost you.
If you're looking to run the ball, that's one way to do it. Stephen Jones joining us here on the sideline before kickoff between Cowboys and Packers. Stephen, thanks so much. Enjoy tonight. Enjoy this atmosphere, and we'll talk to you again down the road.
Guys. Thank you.
Stephen Jones joining us as usual here on Cowboys Pregame Live. And we just talked about George Pickens, but what about the guys under Pickens? He's the number 1 option in this Cowboys offense. What about the second options, and who is wide receiver 2 out of some of these names like Kevontae Turpin, Jalen Tolbert, Jake Ferguson? Barry, I'll start with you.
Well, when it comes to the wide receiver position, Kyle, I'm going to be honest, it's up in the air right now. I'm not so sure who's going to take the reins to be that number 2 wide receiver. You look at Tolbert, a guy that's been here for a little bit. He's had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to go ahead and separate himself and be that number 2 option, but he hasn't been able to do just that. So to me, this is the type of game where you want to see where that depth can come from. Is it going to be Turpin? Is it going to be Tolbert? I know we got Ferguson as a security blanket, but you need somebody else besides George Pickens to be able to open up this offense. I'm looking to see who will step up to be that second option at wide receiver.
Well, I'm going to say that it's going to be freaking Tolbert. I think I was like, Jason Tolbert.
Jason. We're going back.
God.
We're already trying to get Nate Newton out of retirement.
It's going to be Tolbert, okay? All right, listen to that. It's going to be him because not only is he your returning touchdown leader for your offense, but he's also probably your most physical available receiver that you have. He is going to be able to combat the style of defense that Green Bay is going to bring. Most people, when they start looking at your number 2 options, they're going to start looking at who's the fastest, who's the quickest, who has the best hands. They're going to look at all those things, and that's justifiable. But you have to take into consideration what type of scheme are you about to face on this field tonight. And I think the physicality that Tolbert possesses, I think he's going to be ready to take on Green Bay in their ability to be able to try to put some pressure on our defense, on our offense.
I'll go with you 100%. It has to be this kid. He's had enough reps. He's played long enough, and he's got to be feeling that anxiousness to want to get out there and say, you know what, y'all focusing on number 3, come see me. Yeah, okay. I'll be ready to make some plays, Barry. I have to make some plays.
That's a competitor. That's a
dog.
That's it.
And that's why Steven can count on him for a series. I'm telling you, it's out there. No, and even Brian Schottenheimer talked about it early in the week. He needs Jalen Tolbert to step up to what Jalen Tolbert was last year, where he did lead the team in touchdown receptions. May not be every drive, but he needs to be a viable option for this Cowboys offense. All right, we're going to take a break here. We've got our trivia question brought to you by Solomon Thomas, and we've got our media mashup, some of the best quotes throughout the week of media leading into Week 4 in Cowboys and Packers.
Today's trivia question is, which Cowboy holds the record for longest interception return versus the Packers?
Yeah, I just feel like it's just going to be another game for me. Obviously got a lot of ties there, but, I think the atmosphere is going to be great. I kind of know what a Packer-Green Bay game looks like, and I know the fan base is going to be pretty rowdy, so I'm just excited for a competitive matchup on Sunday Night Prime Football,
Do you feel comfortable at this point in game going up to Schottenheimer and talking about what you're seeing on the defense and making adjustments on the fly?
Yeah, most definitely. I kind of did that too last game. I forgot who asked me that question, but that's kind of what was happening, kind of telling them guys mid-game how we could probably switch stuff predicated to their defense. So kind of the same in this game too as well.
I've never looked at the lines, honestly. 7, I guess it is big when you're talking about the NFL, right? I embrace it. I've always embraced, being the underdog, getting a chance to go out there and to prove yourself. I feel like I have to do it each and every each and every day, each and every game, and that's the beauty of playing for this organization and this team. You're as good as your last game, so I understand why the line is that. If you look at last game, so it's about us going out there and taking care of our business, and who cares what the line is? We've got to go win.
Here are some of the inactives for tonight's matchup between the Cowboys and the Packers. It's a different list because you get those two guys at the top, CeeDee Lamb and Tyler Booker, but you also have Jaden Blue still out, Ajani Cornelius still out, a trio of rookies there, and then a crazy surprise, Damone Clark, who actually has been playing pretty well, Isaiah, not available tonight.
Yeah, that is very surprising, but if Damone Clark is down, then that means that there's a Shamar James that is up. So we're going to have opportunity to see exactly what he can present. We've been kind of yelling from the mountaintops in terms of his abilities. He is a fast, strong, physical, decisive linebacker, and we're hoping that he can provide that for Dallas tonight.
Let's take a look at the inactives for the Green Bay Packers. A couple guys to note, just that offensive lineman, backup guys like Anthony Belton and Aaron Banks up front. Really a short list of inactives for the Packers, despite dealing with a couple guys that were questionable coming into the matchup. Definitely not the same as what the Bears had to deal with last week when it came to injuries up front. Let's talk about the Green Bay Packers, a team that on paper, one of the best in the NFL, but let's just keep it to the NFC right now. Nate, when you look at this Packers roster, are they the best in the NFC at this point in the season?
No, sir. It's the Philadelphia Eagles.
Wow.
They've beaten you not with scheme. Right now, Green Bay is beating you with scheme, especially defense, even though they have great players. Philadelphia lining up going man on man and beating you.
What do you think, Isaiah?
I can't dispute that. I mean, I don't want to agree, but I have to agree. Philadelphia is finding a way to win ball games, even though it's ugly. We know that they're not playing at anywhere near their capacity, and yet they're still making it happen.
Yeah, without a doubt. To be the best, you got to beat the best. And right now, that's the Philadelphia Eagles. They won a Super Bowl. They're starting off 4-0 this season. They got a loaded squad. They're the top of the NFC. Now, when you talk about teams that are coming up underneath them that may be able to threaten them for that position, I give Green Bay that opportunity as well, because Green Bay, they're loaded offensively, defensively. They're a young team, and they're starting to gel just at the right moment. So for me, Green Bay's threatening them, but at the top, it still remains Philadelphia.
I think you guys bring up great points. Even with Philadelphia, I mean, they're undefeated. They played well again against the Buccaneers. The Packers have last week in their mind, losing 13-10 late in that football game against the Cleveland Browns. And with all of that being said, they're still one of the better teams in the NFC. Just got a little bit to go in order to catch up against the Philadelphia Eagles. One thing they do well is run the football. Barry, I know that's your topic to talk about. Let's go into what we're all watching for this week with the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, when it comes to the Green Bay Packers, I mean, to me, it starts with their running game. I know they're loaded on the outside with their weapons, and Jordan Love has an explosive cannon out there, but when you talk about balance, it all starts with Josh Jacobs out there. And to me, this is a guy that he's a classic three-down back. You can give it to him between the tackles, but he also has the speed to get around the edge and threaten your defense. He's a home run hitter overall, but he's a 5-tool player, 3-tool player, whatever you want to call it. Run between the tackles, got the speed, and he's a great pass blocker as well. This is a guy where the Dallas Cowboys have got to understand where he is at all times. And to me, to shut down this offense, or at least to contain him, you got to make him one-dimensional, and that starts with stopping Josh Jacobs. It's a tough task for this defense overall, but to me, you gotta make sure you understand where he is at all times.
Well, for myself, I know that New England has Kraft cheese, but Green Bay has Tucker Kraft, and that is a tight end for them. He's an absolute dog. You talk about a tight end that is not afraid to get his hands dirty, get in there, get nasty, put people on the ground, but this dude can kill you on the vertical game. Just when you forget about him, just when you're worried about the run game, like Barry was just talking about, here this guy goes, understanding where spacing is, going down the inside of the numbers, up the seams, and attacking the secondary, and that's where he knows that the weakness of this defense is at this point in time, and that is exactly where he plays best, and hopefully Dallas has a plan for him, because otherwise you're going to see a lot of that number 85 right there.
I like Quay Walker. Number 7. Has he got that number there right? He's the green dot. He lines everybody up. He will get up into the defensive line. He will run stunts. He will run games. He will come off the ball with stunts and games. He never leaves the field. He's got 31 total tackles, a couple of stops behind the line of scrimmage. Edrin Cooper is a little bit behind in 56. He's nice, too. These two linebackers never come off the field, but Quay look out for him. He can make some things happen.
That's interesting. Both of you guys going with the offensive player. Nate goes with the defensive player on the opposite side. But you talk about Tucker Kraft coming off of an injury, hasn't necessarily been himself the last 2 weeks. Doesn't matter. He's still going to play an impact. Josh Jacobs in and out of the lineup last year, has looked healthy and dominant so far. And then Quay Walker has been kind of under the radar as one of the elite defenders in the NFL. All of this playing a factor outside of the main storyline. And the main storyline remains as Micah Parsons. That continues to be the number one thing to look at for the most part whenever it comes to this team overall. Now, when you continue looking down the list of this matchup, you've got to talk about the quarterback play of both Jordan Love and Dak Prescott. Let's talk about Jordan Love first. He's really been a deep passer throughout his entire career. Since 2023, has more deep passing yards, that's beyond 15 yards from the line of scrimmage, than any other quarterback in the NFL. But this year, he's really been underneath for the most part, and it's allowed him to be more efficient, such as last week against the Cleveland Browns, where he was 18 of 25 throwing the football. As for Dak Prescott on the other side, he's had to stay beneath that 15-yard mark because you haven't had CeeDee Lamb last week for most of the game. The guys on the Chicago defense were shading toward George Pickens, so he went 31 for 40 passing, but wasn't able to put the ball down the field. Still playing at a very high level, Isaiah. Do you feel like through the first 3 games, Dak has shown reminiscences of that 2023 form that had him second in MVP voting?
No, absolutely. I think that he is playing very well. His ability to move in the pocket, you see his footwork, you see his ability to his release point, the velocity on this ball, the accuracy, all the boxes are being checked for Dak. Now you just have to start adding in the route concepts. I don't believe that the route concepts are as dynamic as they once were. I'm hoping to see Coach Schottenheimer go in his bag a little bit so that he can take advantage of the weapons that he has out there. Obviously, CeeDee Lamb is down, but you still have a number of guys out there that can make big plays for you. They've invested a lot in the resources at the offensive skill position. Now you just want to see Dak take full advantage.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think Dak Prescott is playing great football right now. I mean, when you look at him in the pocket, he's moving well. When things start to break down, third down, he's using his legs more to get outside the pocket and buy time for those wide receivers out there. And when it comes to decision-making, outside of last week when he had those 2 interceptions, he's been playing phenomenal as far as keeping the ball on the offensive side. So for me, as long as his offense continues to be balanced, they'll be able to go out there and have a great afternoon.
I just want to take a second. The atmosphere just exploded in the building because one Micah Parsons just walked onto the field for the first time in a Green Bay Packer uniform, full helmet and pads now as the Packers are warming up behind us. Did you hear the crowd just a moment ago?
Yeah, like he said they were going to clap for him?
There weren't a whole lot of claps, just to say the least. I mean, it was kind of an interesting moment here. Nate, I want to let you continue here on what you've seen from Dak Prescott, but I just had to say it. That loud burst from both sides. It was a roar in the building. It was from Micah Parsons getting on the field.
I just want to repeat what these 2 guys said, and this is the key thing for Dak tonight. It's pocket presence. The ability to get out of trouble. Don't hold the ball, because we just heard the ball is – see what's going to happen if you hold the ball?
Yeah, exactly.
That means you got sacked and they booing, okay?
I mean, we are 25 minutes from game time.
Yeah.
That's about as loud as I've ever heard it in here pregame. And we've done some big-time, prime-time matchups in playoff time as well. That was about as loud as I've ever heard it between the two. You know what's good whenever things are loud? You got to get away a little bit. And Isaiah was talking about Dak Prescott seeing the field well. Isaiah Stanback's got some QB vision in his own right, a little bit of QB vision. Let's go into virtual reality with Isaiah Stanback. What are you taking a look at this week, Isaiah?
Listen, I mean, first thing you got to do if you're Dak Prescott is you got to come up to the line of scrimmage. You have to understand where are the safeties at. Once you're able to identify the safeties, it's going to give you a relatively good indication as to what is taking place at the line of scrimmage. That's where Dak starts, and then you work your way to the corners all the way to the line of scrimmage. But I'm hoping that he's able to up to see single high safety. And if you see single high, either it's cover 3 or it's cover 1. Either way, George Pickens is your guy. I repeat, George Pickens is your guy. And if not, then Jake Ferguson can find his way to the seam.
And he went through this in virtual reality earlier in the week.
Here we go. In a shotgun formation, we got a double right, which means I have a tight end attached to the tackle box. We have a 1 wide receiver to the right-hand side, 2 receivers to the left. Coming out defensively, 2 high safety
strong safety sitting down a little bit at about 10 yards, free safety sitting at about 15 yards. So got to see exactly what they're going to be doing post-snap and pre-snap. They can pretty much do whatever they want to in terms of coverage. All right, here we go. Got a seam route to my left with a deep in. Have a corner route by Ferguson with a quick out on the outside. Ready? Go. Coming to the in route. Coming up to the line of scrimmage. Obviously, I'm under center. Okay, we have, what we have here? Boom, got an I formation. Okay, we have one wide receiver to the right, tight end is attached, one wide receiver to the left. I have a quick, little underneath route on the left-hand side, and I have a corner post route on the right-hand side, which looks like it might be good because the strong safety is sitting at about 10 yards, while the free safety on the left side is sitting at about 15. So I'm gonna look to my right, try to isolate Ferguson and a receiver out here on the right-hand side. All right, coming to the line of scrimmage. We got two tight ends set. Okay, I have tight end at the line of scrimmage. We also have one in the wing set, one running back in the back, one wide receiver to the left. Okay, what do we have in terms of routes? I have a short little underneath route, okay, coming from my left-hand side, the single side receiver. Tight end, my tight ends are running a scissor concept. One's running, the attached tight end is running a corner. The wing set tight end is going to run a post. What we're trying to do is we're trying to isolate this corner and this receiver, or this corner and the safety on the right side. Less concerned about the left side. They have two high safeties. Should not have an option on my left. This is really going to be a one-sided route. Ended up coming backside because they sat on the scissor concepts. Okay, coming to the line of scrimmage. We're sitting back here and a weak set, a fullback behind me and a running back as well. I have two tight ends to the right and a wing set, and I have a one wide receiver to my left side. What we're doing here is coming up and doing play action. We have a 4 down lineman, we have 3 linebackers and a down safety, so we have an 8-man box. What we are doing, they're trying to take away the run, so we are going to simulate the run. We're going to do play action, and we're going to try to catch them slipping with a possible seam route by our tight end. If the safeties end up giving, then I'm going to give the in route on my left side. Here we go. Got the seam. Got him, coach.
How cool is that? Isaiah Stanback going straight virtual reality. I knew you were a tech wizard. You got a camera in your glasses currently, but that's a little bit different what you were doing there. It was good stuff.
Man, that was pretty cool, man. Just seeing you out there with the hand signals. Did it take you back? Did it take you back?
I definitely have to flash back.
Yeah, there it is. I seen the hand signal safety coming down this way. I'm like, okay, he knows what he's talking about back there.
It's good. It's
good. Pretty cool, man.
You think you got that quickness now? I see what you did on that. You have that quickness now.
Hey, listen, if that check hit, I bet y'all figure it out.
Here's the thing. I threw on the headset after Isaiah was done for a little bit, and I went 0 for 1 with a fumble and an interception. So, hey, there's something about QB vision. It's just a little bit different. One thing you're not having to account for when looking at the Packers defense for the first time in his career, Kenny Clark on that interior defensive line. The other half of the Micah Parsons trade, the forgotten half, might I say, has actually added some motivation going up against his former team. Our very own Nicole Hutchison sat down with Kenny earlier in the week.
Kenny, it's week 4, Cowboys, Green Bay Packers. How different does it now sound, considering you are on the other end of things?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a surreal moment, in my career, and something that I've been thinking about since I got traded here.
It's not every day that, every Sunday you get to line up across your team that drafted you, developed you, and traded you for a blockbuster deal, but how personal is this matchup for you?
It's personal in a way, but like I said earlier, I'm trying to just go 1-0 this week. We got a lot of stuff to clean up, and I want to put my best foot forward for this team and help us get to 1-0.
When this trade happened, of course, the Cowboys receiving you, 2 first-rounders, the Green Bay Packers receiving Micah Parsons. The big headline was, Micah Parsons, and I kind of felt like, your success got overlooked a little bit, underestimated. 3-time Pro Bowler, a hell of an interior defensive lineman since you got drafted. Do you feel like you were kind of overlooked when that trade happened?
Yeah, 100%. I can be real with myself. I did have a down year, and you know, I had surgery on my toe and got all that stuff fixed. But I mean, when they traded me, you know, it's hard to kind of not hear the outside noise, and I just feel like, you know, everybody kind of just thought I was just a guy that they was just trading for. You know, it is what it is. People gonna have their outside opinions, but you know, I've been a damn good football player since I've been in the league, and you know, I got a lot of people that respect me and respect my game. And, you know, I'm just planning to keep proving that. And you've done that since you've been rocking the star in your helmet. You know, watch you blow up plays from the inside. How do you feel like your presence has changed this defensive line? I try my best to do the right thing at the right time and just do my job, you know, as best as I can. You know, of course, you know, you got your times where, you know, you can cut it loose and just rip up field and do all that kind of stuff. But I think I do a good job of just making everybody around me better. When my linebackers know, you know, exactly where I'm gonna be and know that you know, I can shut off this whole A gap or, you know, force the ball to cut back, and they comfortable with that, then they can play faster. You know, same thing that go from my defensive ends that's closing backside. You know, not only that, I mean, I feel like a lot of people, you know, they say I was just a run stopper, but, you know, I do a pretty good job pass rusher too, so. How much pride do you take in being such a versatile defensive lineman? Since I got in the league, I never wanted nobody to just peg me in as a run stopper or peg me in as a pass rusher or a situational guy. I pride myself on doing everything well and, you know, being great at everything and somebody that's going to make the team better. It's no secret that this defense has kind of struggled, you know, in terms of allowing the big plays and getting pressure up front. When a defense does have this type of talent, because there are a lot of talented pieces on this team, is it the struggles that kind of stem from the communication, the execution, or is it just kind of you guys still finding that identity? The biggest thing is the communication and just doing your job at the end of the day. And just knowing what to expect, knowing formations, it's really all mental. But I mean, as far as just the talent that we got on the defense, I truly believe in everything that we got going on and our process of doing all that stuff. The main thing for us is just to keep on working, keep chipping away. What's been the message from vets like you, specifically to the younger guys in this locker room to help turn things around this week? It's going to be a lot of people talking. It's going to be, you know, everybody's going to think that we don't have no answer, you know, for everything. But it's always an answer, and you know, the answer is to communicate and just do your job. And it starts with practice, it starts with the walkthroughs, it starts with mock. You know, all the stuff that we're doing, just being intentional about your work every day.
Kenny Clark and 2 first-round picks from Green Bay for that man right there. Micah Parsons making his return to AT&T Stadium for the first time in an opposing uniform. 4 Pro Bowls in 4 years as a Dallas Cowboy, and now he's wearing that Green Bay Packers green and yellow on the road. Another chapter in the Cowboys-Packers rivalry written tonight. And with more on that, we'll talk about Coach Eberflus without one of his top targets, top defenders on that unit, still trying to make improvements going into week 4.
In terms of the last game, you know, really, you know, disappointed in the performance, you know, in a few plays. You know, I thought our guys played well in the run game, but we got to have better discipline with our eyes, you know, in our coverage. And we've worked hard at that during the course of the week. And we'll continue to do that, you know. So again, these guys are 3 games into it, and it's a long season, and we're working hard with the defensive backs, with the pass rush, to get those things going as we go forward. And the guys are working hard at it.
How much do you think this defense misses Micah?
You know, you really can't dwell on the past. You really can't. I know that there's a lot of talk or chatter out there about that, but you know, to me, it's our eyes are forward. You know, we have, you know, guys in the building that we're coaching. You know, guys are working their tail off, and we got good enough pass rushers.
We've talked about Kenny Clark. We've now heard from Coach Eberflus What do you want to see out of this defensive line tonight, Barry, when it comes to the Cowboys defense trying to make improvements from what was really not a good performance against the Bears last week?
I got to see this defensive line start to win their one-on-one opportunities. When you see it across the board, whether it's defensive end, defensive tackle, even guys blitzing off the edge, they're just stagnant on these blocks. They're sticking to these blocks like glue out there. For me, if you have your one-on-one opportunity, you got to win it. I'm not talking about you got to win 10 out of 10 or 9 out of 10, but can we get 5 out of 10? Can we get 4 out of 10 victories out there? You've got to be able to win your one-on-one opportunities in order to create a pass rush for the Dallas Cowboys.
You know, what's amazing is we haven't seen Osa dominate a game. We haven't seen even Kenny Clark dominate a game.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that, if we dominate as a tackle in a 3 technique, that's the man over the guard. If we dominate from that, that's going to push them out to the ends. That's going to push the quarterback out to the ends. We need for the 2 inside guys to dominate, not just play good, but dominate.
Yeah, and if they dominate, that means that those guys are going to be getting into the backfield of the Green Bay offensive line. The reason why that's important is because you cannot, and I repeat, you cannot allow Green Bay to establish a running game. If they're able to do so, they have the same exact running scheme as you have, and you know what's been going on offensively for your team, the Dallas Cowboys, with Javonte Williams. Trust and believe. You do not want them to have that same success with a dude by the name of Josh Jacobs.
And a big thing here is pass rush, pass rush, pass rush. Caleb Williams not sacked last week. If you've watched any sort of Cowboys content over the last week, you know it was the first time in his career where he was not sacked. But you get a guy and a little bit of extra help this time around. The Batman light was out there, but it wasn't for just the pass rush. It was a new member of Club 42 here for the Dallas Cowboys. How about this? Barry Church, you have a new Club 42 member this week. I want you to welcome welcome Jadeveon Clowney into Club 42. Give him a nice welcome to the Cowboys Pregame Live viewers out there.
Look, Club 42, as you know, Mr. Clowney is reserved for straight balls. All right, on the defensive side of the ball, it does whatever it takes to get the team win. You seem like that kind of guy, but I got to see it on the field in order to get past into the Club 42. This is your initiation right here. All right, you go out there, you ball. You get an official Club 42 lanyard that you can walk into. All right, so right here, it's all about the Club 42, and it's only reserved for ballers. I hope, Clowney, you step up to the plate.
Let's go. Man, look at the pixels on this thing. That's definitely not HD. That's from a while back now. Yeah, that's a while back from Barry Church, our very own.
Right here. Yeah, I need this to create.
Yeah. We'll get it nice and rolled up for you so you can keep it later on. Very cool stuff. Cody Eastwood, our producer, helping piece that together. Let's talk about Clowney, though. Huge addition this offseason, or excuse me, this season for the Cowboys. And he said he's already feeling spoiled as a member of the Dallas Cowboys.
A lot, like I said, we're going to see. But I'm excited to play. Been at home on that couch, man. You be ready to get up off of it. But like I said, I'm just missing football, ready to get back out here with the guys. That locker room make you feel a lot younger than you is, you know. I was just excited that, to get down here. When I seen the place, I was like, oh, man, these guys, they got it made. I've been on 7 teams, and this place is a lot different than any place I've been. They got a lot for these guys. They're a little spoiled, Jerry spoiled his team, so I was like, you got to come down and play well when you're getting spoiled like this. So you're just trying to come out here and compete. You want to be in a place like this for a while when you're playing. So try to put it all out there, just play good, just stay around.
Ooh, they don't know about that.
So now that we've heard about Jadeveon Clowney and heard his thought process in Dallas, what do you expect out of him tonight, and what makes him valuable as a part of this Cowboys pass rush?
He's a red laser guy, and what I mean by that, he's the guy on the defensive line that you have to circle as an offense and be concerned about. People are going to look at him and say, oh, he's been around the league for a long time. He's a veteran that's really not that impactful. That's a lie. He's a hired assassin, okay? I know Nate talks about Aaron Rodgers being John Wick. This is John Wick on the defensive side of the ball. All he does is show up for organizations and put out productivity. Over the last 3 years, he has 17 sacks. Last time I checked, that's pretty doggone productive. Regardless of the scheme, he can win his one-on-one matchups. He can go out there and he can stuff the run from the edge and set the edge. He's an impact player. I'm hoping that he is what we've known him to be.
Set the edge, but forget about it, man. Get to the passer. That's all we need for you to do. Like he said, I believe in the mercenary that he is, man. Deion taught me that word right there. Go to the highest bidder, but do your job and rush the passer.
Yeah, without a doubt, this brings me back to what I talked about with the defensive line, what they need to do. Win your one-on-one battles. And this is a guy, in my opinion, that can go out there, and if you present him with a one-on-one each and every time, he has that opportunity to win those. He's going to win majority of them, then he loses. So for me, this is just an added piece of this defensive line that can go out there, win the one-on-ones, and get after the quarterback. We all know quarterbacks in this league, if you give them too much time back there, they will dissect you. This is a guy that can go out there and get after the quarterback and make things difficult.
Of course, he was picked up just over 2 weeks ago, so expecting a lot, expecting the world from Jadeveon Clowney might be asking too much, but you need the other guys to step up in a big way. Dante Fowler Jr., and Sam Williams and Donovan Ezraku, some of these other pass rushers that just haven't gotten home for the Cowboys quite yet. One guy who has been pretty good on that defensive line is Solomon Thomas. He's our trivia answer of the day in our media mashup from Week 4.
You go with 42.
There weren't too many options, right? And then I was just thinking, Jackie Robinson wrote 42, so my celebration is probably when I get a sack, I'm going to throw that baseball up there and knock it up out of here. So I'm looking forward to that. So, yeah, that's how I end up picking the 42.
That's cool. It's a good number.
Yeah, it's good for me now. It's great number. It's great number, especially if he's saying number 42 on the tackle.
I'll tell you what, Tay knows how to run the ball. And, that front seven, the O-line, they got great push. But I think we just got to be a collective, cohesive unit and, execute on every front. Whether it's a scouted look or an unscouted look, we just got to be clean on everything we do. So, we can't pop those holes open for Tay.
Today's trivia question is, which Cowboy holds a record for longest interception return versus the Packers?
George Teague, the answer to our trivia question today, taking on the Green Bay Packers. How about that 95-yarder back on November 14th, 1995. Cowboys trying to find a little bit of that same George Teague magic today at AT&T Stadium. We just saw Micah Parsons go back into the locker room, leading the Green Bay Packers off the field in pregame warmups. It's a big day. All eyes on Sunday Night Football. All eyes on Micah Parsons.
4th and 2, empty gun.
That the receiver did not maintain.
Oh, my goodness. Crosby for the game. It's good, and the Packers win the game. However and whenever your football season ends, it ends like a freight train going 60 miles an hour running into a brick wall.
You add Micah Parsons on top of the layer of this Cowboys-Packers rivalry, the playoff games, the NFC title games, the embarrassment of 2023, all of it plays a factor into what we will see on the field tonight. There's going to be a little added emotion, especially when it comes to a guy like Micah Parsons playing against his former team. You got to keep Dak Prescott upright if you stand a chance in this football game. Isaiah, how would you keep him upright against the defense and against a guy like Parsons in a supercharged emotional matchup?
Yeah, I know most people would resort to saying chip with your running back. I'm not going to say that's your number one primary. I'm going to say right up the back, your offensive line, you need to slide protect. Okay, the reason why I say slide protect is because they do so much defensively on their front line where they're stunning. Guys are running across. And if you are playing man-to-man in terms of your offensive line being responsible for certain individuals on the defensive line or even the front seven, then you're going to lose track of your guy. There's too much communication that's required. Slide protection allows for guys to get caught in the wash, and now it simplifies things where Dak's responsible instead of your offensive linemen that are 2 and 3 deep now being responsible for the guys that are up front.
Yeah, for me, it boils down to a couple things. One, you got to keep this defensive line off balance. You got to use their aggression against them and kind of throw screens to slow them down as well as running the football. Secondly, you got to get the ball out of Dak Prescott's hands quick. He can't be back there 5-step drops, holding on to the ball, waiting for these deep developing routes down the seams or on the deeper half of the football field. You got to understand that they got 2 pass rushers on the edge that can get after the quarterback. You got to get the ball out of his hands quick, and you got to be balanced.
You just got to run that 12 personnel. If you're going to be balanced, do it with a 12 personnel because you can't turn when Micah get over the center of the guard. You are stuck like Chuck. So go with that 12 personnel, and you know what? And be slow to get out, and that'll give Dak an outlet once you get out there.
Now on the defensive side for Dallas, they do get a little bit of reinforcement. You brought it up earlier. Daron Bland is back in the fold, an all-pro corner, missed the last 2 games with a foot injury. He's back in the fold. Barry, how big of a return is that for a Dallas defense that severely needs help in that secondary?
It's a big time, getting him back into the lineup. Anytime you can get a ball-hawking corner like that back into your lineup, it's huge for the Dallas Cowboys. Because when you look at it, where has the Dallas Cowboys been getting beat? It's been on the outside. They've been giving up explosive plays on the outside. And where I think Daron Bland is great at is at that nickel position where he can read and react. You need him on the outside to go ahead and kind of minimize those explosive plays that we've seen the past 2 games from this secondary. But getting a guy back like that can take the football away and get it back to your offense is extraordinary.
Now, you talked about using him in the nickel or using him outside. Isaiah, where would you want to see Daron Bland, and where is he most effective?
You know what? I don't really care if he's inside or outside. I just want him to play whatever position he's asked to play well and take the pressure off the safeties. That's where the struggle has been for this defense. And how important is it to have a cornerback now and take some of the stress off these safeties?
Oh, without a doubt. Anytime you can get a corner that can get hands on these wide receivers out there and slow them down so you're not looking. As soon as you look up, you see these receivers running down you. That takes the pressure off of the safety, and you're right. They need somebody on the outside that can do just that.
Cowboys getting some reinforcements in a matchup like this where the entire football world will have their eyes on AT&T Stadium. Now they've got their eyes on bold predictions. Nate, give me your bold prediction as we wrap things up on the field at AT&T Stadium.
Quickly, 35 rushes for the juggernaut,
Wow,
Williams.
that is bold.
We got to come at him, bro. If you want that pass rush not to be what it's going to be, Devontae, juggernaut.
This secondary for the Dallas Cowboys will hold Jordan Love under 175 yards passing tonight.
Ooh,
that is
very
bold. That is a bold prediction, sir.
Isaiah stunned.
Oh, my goodness. I'm going to go with Matt Eberflus. You don't know what the heck you're going to get out of him. He's tired of people talking about his defense and how they can't do anything, how he needs to get up out of town. Dallas Cowboys get 4 sacks on Jordan Love today.
4 of them.
Wow.
And I think Micah Parsons held under a sack and a half. He only gets 1. Only gets 1 tonight against this offensive line that is banged up, but still they know how to play Micah Parsons in his return to AT&T Stadium. The atmosphere, the energy in the building already radiating throughout Arlington, Texas, and this football world. It's NBC Sunday Night Football, 7:20 kickoff here from AT&T Stadium. That's going to do it for us here for Pregame Live. Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church, Nate Newton, Nicole Hutchison, and our entire crew. I'm Kyle Yeoman saying so long. Enjoy Cowboys. Enjoy the Packers. It's Sunday Night Football in the Lone Star State. We hope you enjoyed this edition of Cowboys Pregame Live leading into kickoff between the Cowboys and the Packers. If you enjoyed it, we're here every